My amplified unit. Salute. Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast. Monday, October 9th, 2023. This will be much more of a conversational / discussional podcast more than news. We're going to talk the aftermath of WWE FastLane. What it all meant Saturday night. What was it all for? What seeds were planted? Where do these characters and storylines, if there is any, or any interest, where does it go from here? As we go into Crown Jewel and then Survivor Series. And after that, after this next month, when November is done, we all pack it up in the wrestling community for December. And then when we come back in January, it's WrestleMania season. Hard to believe that it's already here that quickly. Blink of an eye, snap of a finger, drop of a hat. We're already talking WrestleMania, but we're going to talk the aftermath of FastLane because there's a lot to talk about, and you really want to be in the best position possible if you're WWE going into WrestleMania season. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk a little bit about the media scrum as well. Media, I'll put that in immense amplified air quotes. Because the term media has been stretched out. We moved the goalpost. But if you don't know what that is, basically after every pay-per-view, Tony Khan of AEW started doing these press conferences. And Paul Levesque McMahon, there's no shame in his game, so he totally just stole the idea. Paul Levesque McMahon now has these media scrum press conferences after his big pay-per-views, PLEs. So usually there's a lot to talk about from them, not for the best of reasons, not for anything necessarily good. This was kind of the same thing. So there's some things that were said that we're going to go over. Paul Levesque McMahon talking about Edge, Io Shirai being asked just the stupidest questions. Really, just making you think, how did these people get into that room to ask these questions? We'll talk about the stupidity in that room, but that's neither here nor there. We will be discussing the media scrum a bit in this podcast, but the bulk of this upload will be covering the aftermath of FastLane. What was it all for? What does it all lead to? Was this a good or bad event? BC was live on the channel Saturday night during this event. My entire amplified unit was able to listen in or even watch along. But the chat was open to just my channel members, what we call the gold unit, gold card members. And I put you guys to work on this event because that's how many matches I couldn't really say was that good. So I had to ask you guys, should this go into the good column or the bad column? And you guys did really good, man. It was a very fair final tally. 5 in favor of the good, 4 to bad. You guys really came through for me, so I appreciate that. And for everybody, even if you were not a channel member in the chat, if you just stopped by, smashed that up, and showed the love and appreciation to the channel, I appreciate you guys big time, honestly. Because you guys made that much more of a fun Saturday night, man, than if BC was just kind of watching, taking notes on it, putting up a review the next day. So very good time, but that tells you 5-4. You know, that was not a decisive good pay-per-view. There was a lot of room for improvement. In fact, BC would call that a decent pay-per-view at best, but not enough bad to say it was bad. So we edged it out with 5-4 and it ended up being good. But it was not an easy decision, not at all. If you witnessed that entire 3-hour live stream, we struggled with the decision of a lot of those matches. So we're going to talk about it all, man, coming up. You guys see BC in his Packers hoodie. I got all the Packers gear on, man. I'm rocking, I'm going to be rocking 4 Gs in a second. I'm going to have more Gs than T-Mobile. But tonight the Packers are going to take on the Raiders, all right? So you guys know I've been covering the NFL this season, more specifically the Packers from Green Bay. After every Packers game, I put up a review of the game. Well, tonight the Packers are taking on the Raiders while Monday Night Raw is going on. So basically, I have to have 2 separate notepads. I'm going to be taking a lot of notes tonight. Early tomorrow morning, there'll be the Packers review. Did they win? Did they lose? Were they good? Did they suck? We'll cover it all. Packers review early tomorrow morning. Later in the afternoon, I'll have the full Raw review for you guys. And then late that night, not too late, 8 p.m., is that when the shows go live? That night, tomorrow night, I hope to be live with you guys on the channel. I want to cover AEW Dynamite and NXT because they're going head-to-head tomorrow. AEW off of Wednesday because of the Major League Baseball playoffs, and NXT, that's their normal night and time slot anyway. It's a head-to-head war. Tony Khan is putting together a mini pay-per-view titled Title Tuesday. Taco Tuesday! Anybody see the Lego movie? Everything is awesome! Title Tuesday for AEW, and the counter to that is going to be NXT's. It's not a mini pay-per-view, but they bulked the roster up to a roster we haven't seen in ages. Cody Rhodes will be on NXT. John Cena, The Undertaker, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Dominic Mysterio in the Judgment Day, Paul Heyman in the Bloodline. All of these individuals will be on NXT to take on Tony Khan's AEW Title Tuesday concept. So I just thought it was an interesting time, if I'm able to, and I'm 99.99% sure I can pull this off tomorrow night, if I get all that needs to be done beforehand. Because again, even on the channel, I got the Packers review, then I got the Raw review, then I got to take care of everything else, not wrestling or football related, not channel related. But I hope to be live tomorrow night to show you guys how a typical fan would watch this event. And I'm not going to have two TVs up. I could. I'm not going to. I'm going to take you back old school Attitude Era, how we used to do it. Nitro, Raw, and you had a remote control with a button that says last. And that just takes you back to the last channel you were on. And you press that last button maybe 175 times during the 2 or 3 hours of Raw Nitro. That's how I want to be live tomorrow night with you guys. I'm going to show you who is captivating my interest. NXT or AEW. Segment by segment, minute by minute. Where is BC's focus on? And you're going to see live, man. Entertain us. Tony Khan, entertain us tomorrow night. Paul Levesque McMahon, Shawn Michaels, entertain me tomorrow night. And that's where the remote control will stay for a minute, 2 minutes. But we're going to see who's producing the best television minute by minute live tomorrow night. I hope you guys can join me, even if it's only for a moment or a segment, a minute, just to say what's up and smash the up. But 3 big uploads tomorrow on the channel, guys. So a little bit of a programming note for you. So that's what we hope to do tomorrow. For this podcast, like I said, and there's no use to even go to an opening lightning bolt signature. Let's just get right into the conversation. And I'll save the media scrum thing. We'll save that for now. You know what I'll do? A little bit of a side rant to start us off. Why not, right? That's the programming information upcoming on the channel. Let's start with a little rant, right? We ain't gonna get loud. We ain't gotta get too amplified for this. But it's gonna be a little discussional rant about expectations in pro wrestling fans. And why some people think it's a bad thing to have expectations. What a concept. When FastLane went off there on Saturday night, you saw that butting of the heads in the wrestling community like we always see. The fans that are totally happy with the finish, they don't care. You could feed them any BS and they'll eat it, and then they'll come back with a wooden bowl and wooden spoon and say, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" Doing their best impersonation of Oliver Twist, right? Stir up the BS stew and they'll keep eating it. But that's their prerogative, right? We don't get upset with that. Hey, if you like the finish, you like the finish. Maybe you're big Rollins fans. That's totally fine. And then there was a lot of fans, BC included, many of the amplified unit and way beyond the unit. A lot of us did not like that finish because we just saw it a month ago. This was the same exact match, the same exact main event as a month ago. The only difference is they went down to the local Home Depot and picked up some furniture, the local Lowe's, and picked up some tables and other wood. Ladders and trash cans were involved. And that's supposed to make us go, whoa, this was so different. But the finish was the same. Rollins defeats Nakamura, celebrates, and we go off the air. So a lot of us fans were just saying, could you have gotten more creative with the finish? The answer is yes. Should you have gotten more creative with the finish? The answer is yes. Right? We all know that. Whether it's somebody just coming out the top of the ramp while Rollins is celebrating in the crowd and just set something up interesting, right? Oh, could that be the next opponent, right? Plant some seeds. Maybe somebody does come out and attack Rollins. Maybe it's nothing to do with Rollins. Rollins wins that match and we go to the back, maybe the parking lot, and a totally different angle or storyline with totally different characters, totally different wrestlers involved. Nothing to do with Rollins and Nakamura. Maybe something's going on with them to end the show and really pique your interest. But this is a 3-hour plus show that you paid money for. Now, I would expect this on a Raw and a SmackDown, right? The best of creativity, the utmost. So on a pay-per-view, for sure. Payback, Rollins just won and celebrated. A lot of us didn't feel right about that. We wanted more. We felt like you could have gotten more creative. We find out 2 days later that Nakamura attacked Rollins after the match. Okay, we didn't know that. We didn't see that. Rollins just won. We went off the air. But as much as we were hoping for better, we said, okay, no problem. You had a title match, hard fought, Rollins wins, we go off the air. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. Some people liked it. Others, like BC, wanted more. Would have been nice if we had more creativity. But when you do the same exact match a month later, doesn't matter the stipulation, when you do the same exact match, you better up your ante for the finish. What happened a month later, this past Saturday night, was the same finish. Rollins wins over Nakamura, same person, and he celebrates, and we go off the air. And a lot of fans were just saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, man, could we have not have done something more special for the finish? That's the same thing, the same visual of a month ago, and we keep spending our money watching the same damn thing. That's all a lot of fans were saying. But the fans that think everything is awesome, it's wild. It's so weird how easily upset they get when other fans don't buy into the BS or want better. It's wild to think that there's fans that get upset because other fans have expectations. Like expectations, and having them in 2023 is such a bad thing. Not only should you have expectations in 2023 and going forward, your expectations should keep rising, just like your standards. Your bar should be ever increasing. By the day, by the moment, you raise your bar for everything. It is okay to want and to expect more. It's okay to do that. In 2023, expectations is like a dirty word. We're just supposed to think everything is awesome. We're just supposed to go along with the status quo so we don't upset the herd. It's okay to have standards that are higher than others. It's okay to have expectations that are higher than others. You wish others would raise their bar, but they're fine in mediocrity, subpar, mid-AF. So they're looking at you with such a high bar and expectations and going, well, lower them. And we're looking at them saying, higher yours. Up to you to decide which side of the fence you stand on. I would hope you have standards and expectations that are high, because it tells a lot about you. If you go to a fancy restaurant that you know you're going to drop $500 on a meal, it's a top-notch 5-star restaurant, you heard. It's okay to go into that restaurant with expectations. You expect the food to be good. You expect the service to be top-notch. You expect the atmosphere to be flawless. And if you walk out of that restaurant and the service sucked, the food was horrible, and the atmosphere was terrible, you're not going to feel like your expectations were not met? Or you're going to walk out of there going, well, everything was horrible. I spent $500 on it, and it's okay because I shouldn't have had expectations anyway. I shouldn't have heard the good word that my friends were telling me about the restaurant. I shouldn't have read the reviews about this restaurant and the food quality and the service. I shouldn't have done some research on the restaurant. It's my fault for walking into that restaurant expecting I was going to have a good time. Good food. No, it's okay to go into that restaurant with expectations, and they better be met. Especially if you're spending that much money. It's okay to watch a football game expecting your team to play good, even if they lose, expecting them to at least play good, not get blown out. Lose by 40, 50 points. Look like a bunch of little leaguers out there. It's okay to expect your team to play good. It's okay to go into a movie theater after you just paid $10 for a movie ticket to expect that you're going to watch a good movie. Maybe you know the director. You've seen his movies before. You like the actors maybe, right? You saw the trailer. It looked pretty damn good. You're expecting the movie to be good. If the movie completely sucks and you walk out of the theater, you're not going to go, well, I shouldn't have had expectations. I mean, I paid the money and, I should, you know what? I should just like it. Screw it. I'm just going to like it. Favorite show that you watched, right? 4 seasons in. The first 3 seasons were amazing. You go into the 4th. You have expectations that the 4th is going to live up to the first 3, or at least be there, to get creative, interesting storylines, plot lines that'll keep you involved in season 4 like the first 3. If season 4 totally caves and it all comes crushing down, you don't walk out of that season going, well, I shouldn't have had expectations. I mean, we had 3 strong seasons. What are the chances of a 4th? I shouldn't have had those expectations. In pro wrestling, is it not okay to want more than the same exact finish we saw a month earlier? Rollins celebrating, we go off the air, and all we're saying, right? Nobody was looting in the streets. Rome wasn't burning yet again. We were just saying, hey, would have been nice if we had more creativity. To us, that's unacceptable to do the same exact finish. No fun at the end. And there's some fans that get upset with that. How dare you have expectations? Next time, go into that wrestling event with nothing. You'll be more happy. And I don't know what that says. Because you know what? Maybe those fans are correct, right? If you go in with no expectations, you can't be that upset, right? Or wanting more than what we got. And that's the sad part, is it's gotten to the point where we have to go into wrestling events with no expectations. That doesn't sound too fun to me. You always hear people compare to the Attitude Era or even Ruthless Aggression or the Golden Era back in the 80s, right? When you were watching wrestling and you were having fun, you couldn't wait, right? You would wake up on Monday mornings and literally go, oh, it's Monday. Yes, Raw tonight. Nitro tonight. The Monday Night Wars, right? You'd wake up on a pay-per-view Sunday. That morning, the second you open your eyes, you went, oh, pay-per-view tonight. WrestleMania's tonight. Rumble's tonight, man. Survivor Series. And you were excited. And now you look at wrestling today, and instead of being excited, we're telling each other, don't have any expectations. Hey, Jimmy, get up. Hey, come here for a second. Yeah, don't have any expectations, man. You'll be much better off. See, the fans that are upset, man, they're horrible for the wrestling world. You know why? Because they have expectations and then they don't get met and they don't just take what's given to them and then they complain about it, And it's like, what the heck, man? And then we complain about them complaining. So we look like even bigger idiots. And wow, man, yeah. Like if they just go in without expectations and we can all just say everything is awesome when the event goes off the air, I think we'd be better off. No. A lot of us fans, believe it or not, even in the wrestling world, we have standards, and we keep raising those standards. We have expectations, we keep raising them. We're not going to lower them just because you don't have them or refuse to hire yours. It's up to you to decide which side of the fence you're on. Do you have high standards and you keep raising that bar, or do you have low standards and you don't want to move it high? You just want to keep going lower so you're not displeased with anything. If I just don't care as much, maybe I won't be upset. But you love pro wrestling. So don't you want to see it the best it can possibly be? If you want to see professional wrestling be the best, if you want to see WWE be the best, don't you want to see it get better by the week, by the show, by the month, by the year, by the pay-per-view, premium live event? You want to see it grow and get better. You want your interest to peak. You want to be able to keep raising your bar and your standards and your expectations. You should have them, is the overall Biggest statement I can give you right now. You should have expectations when you watch a professional wrestling show. Wednesday nights, Monday nights, Friday nights, pay-per-view Saturday, pay-per-view Sunday, Tuesday nights, the local bingo hall. You should be able to expect, and when you leave that show, you should have those expectations met, or at least be in the ballpark. It's okay to watch wrestling with expectations. It's okay to have high expectations. If fans get upset with you because of that, fuck them. Too bad. Don't bring yourself down to others' levels. You make sure they're busting their ass to get up to your level. And if they can't meet it, they can't meet it. Tough shit. Never mingle with mediocrity. You are the company you keep. Never bring yourself down to another's level, ever. You raise your bar, and that's how you stay amplified and whoop that ass. So fans that are upset with other fans because they wanted more from the finish or more from the event itself, those are the fans that are hurting pro wrestling. They're hurting it more than they're helping it. I assure you. They're hurting pro wrestling. The best way to leave this discussion. The fans that have somehow made mediocrity the new normal, don't expect the rest of us to follow suit. Because we refuse to do such. We are going to keep going into those restaurants and expecting good service, good food, and a good atmosphere. We're going to go into those football stadiums expecting our team to just play good football. We're going to go and watch these wrestling shows expecting a good show, at the bare minimum, something different every month. Different finishes and cliffhangers and creativity. It's okay to have expectations. And if nobody's told you that lately, well, BC's telling you that now. Not only should you have them, but keep raising them. And when they're not met, it's okay to let it be known. And we can only hope you'd like to expect that eventually others will find, hey, maybe I should raise my bar. Maybe I should have standards. Maybe I shouldn't be going into every restaurant and establishment and football stadium and pro wrestling show with just, I hope they just do the bare minimum. I hope it's just okay. Because I don't have expectations, right? I'm just going in like, what am I even doing here? How did I even get tickets? Wow, I got no expectations. I'm not going to be let down. Just put on a show and I'm just going to go, hey, I had no expectations. Oh, those fans, man. It's wild to believe that they're out there. But, hey, it's, you see it, man. You can't make it up. You wish it was, though. Salute, unit. That's my little rant to start this thing off. A little lengthy, I know. But it's one of those things where you want to make sure that you're keeping the company honest, right? And the only way to do that is to be such yourself. So if you're not going to be honest with yourself and others, these companies won't change, and you'll get Seth Rollins just taking us off the air every single pay-per-view. As if that's fun. Now, speaking of FastLane, man, we talked about how the bulk of this will be the aftermath of such. Well, let's start with that match, right? Because there was only, I believe, like 5 matches. We'll go over these real quick. The aftermath, the winner, and what it led to. So Rollins defeats Nakamura in the main event of this show, FastLane Saturday night. Same exact match as Payback. They just added a stipulation, went down to the Home Depot, picked up some furniture, right? Some wood, some ladders, trash cans. And I think the only memorable moment of it all that I'll remember is Nakamura had nunchucks. Other than that, Rollins just beats him with a Falcon Arrow through 2 of the tables that was set up in stunt style. It was covered with a black wrap, and underneath probably a thin layer of padding. Good for them. Protect yourself. I love the stunts. I don't care how much padding. If you're going to risk yourself and do the stunt, I'm down for it. Like, for instance, earlier, I think it was the same match. Was it the same match? Yeah, I think maybe Rollins. He went through this, like, it looked like a heavenly bed, right? And you could see him, like, bounce. They didn't even show the replay. That's how bad it was. Like, he falls off this little podium onto, like, a mattress, and it looks so comfortable. It's like when you go into a hotel and you see a nice comfy bed, the first thing you do, you run and you fucking dive bomb on it, right? Rollins just comfortably just bounced on this bed. Kevin Dunn, production, couldn't even do the replay. But like I said live, I'm okay with it, as long as you do the stunt, I think it adds to the match. It's fun. So see, some positivity there. So the Falcon Arrow, I'm cool with that. The finish was still out of nowhere, it felt, right? It just felt like, damn, after all of that, you still expected Nakamura to kick out somehow. But okay, the finish was there. Rollins is hoisting up the championship. It's the same exact finish as last month. So you're expecting, okay, creatively, they know we're about to go off the air the same way. We're not going to do that, obviously. Even if it has nothing to do with Rollins, maybe it cuts to the parking lot on a totally different angle. Something with the bloodline, maybe. Judgment Day. But something that's going to go, oh, damn, as we fade to black, a big cliffhanger. Instead, we just go off the air. So on the good, the bad, and the ugly, we put that into the ugly column. Again, the match was decent. Nothing against Seth and what Nakamura did. No big botches or anything like that. No, the match was decent to even good at times. But creatively, booking-wise, unacceptable. Booking them two for an entire month after last month's main event. And we didn't even see Nakamura attack Rollins at Payback, by the way. So they made a whole nother month of this feud out of nothing. And then they put it in the main event just like last month. And they finished it the exact same way. We literally faded to black and went off the air. That's unacceptable. So we put that into the ugly column. Why? Because one of the biggest questions and one of the big discussional points we're doing right now in this podcast is, what does it lead to? Rollins wins this match, and what? What now? What for Crown Jewel? What are you putting this guy in for Survivor Series that we're going to care about, that could not have had a seed planted Saturday night to make it more fun for everybody, including our interest being piqued with Crown Jewel just a few weeks away? Because it's 3 weeks from Saturday. So we think future-wise. For Seth Rollins, man, there's nothing. You didn't even plant any seeds. For Nakamura, he just beat 2 pay-per-views in a row now. That's why I said last month, if he's going to attack Rollins and we're going to do this another whole month, put it on the pay-per-view. Make it vicious. Make Nakamura gain victory while in defeat. Instead, they just showed Nakamura just discouraged and beaten. Rollins is celebrating and Payback goes off the air. So the point is, both of these individuals, it's not showing so much excitement going forward with either. Rollins just wins the match, we go off the air. You have to do more for Naka and for Sethington. And the fact that it was the same visual we saw last month, my unit decided, you know what, that's an ugly. And I agree. Unacceptable. Thankfully, that was the only ugly of the night. And again, that was more creatively / booking. Other than that, Io Sky, Io Shirai, man, was that a breakout performance for anybody that doesn't know her talent and never really had her name on the map. Because that is a career-defining moment for Io. Io did the deed, and booking-wise, they made the right call. As much as I hate seeing Asuka lose a match, there was no way Charlie Flair could walk away with a 15th title. She's inevitably going to anyway. You guys know that. Don't be shocked when it happens. I wouldn't be shocked if she wins 15 and 16 by WrestleMania. 16th probably at Mania. In effect, tying her father's record and eventually and obviously beating her father's record. But for Io, there was no way she could walk out without that victory, and I hate seeing Asuka lose. Can't stand it, as I said. But Io had to win that match to make this title reign relevant at all. And not only did they do that with that victory, but that's one of those career-defining moments when she goes in the Hall of Fame many moons from now. That's the type of victory that's going to be on the highlight reel. Io needed that to make this title reign anything at all. Because unfortunately, Asuka has not had that. She's had many titles, none of them memorable, because the booking failed her. That was a massive, massive moment, match, and victory for Io. And that got to, I think we put that into the great column, which is 2 goods, by the way. There's not an actual great column. And the reason for that is because WWE over the last 10 years doesn't do that many great things. So we actually gave that a great, which is 2 goods. And we had a good discussion live too. Like what's the criteria for great? You know, like when I think great, Io just winning a match, how does that get 2 goods, right? Especially from BC, who says, I can't stand when people say this is awesome for everything, even if it's something mediocre, even if we're 30 seconds into a match and we're yelling, this is awesome. So BC, just because you like Io, how does that get a great? Well, as I said on Saturday night, it's many things. First of all, how we dissect these matches and how we determine what category these matches or segments or promos go into, good, bad, or ugly, right? There's a lot of criteria. Like for matches or for character, it's the mannerisms, the expressions, the selling, defense just as much as offense. Selling matters just as much as the sequences that you can perform. The match outcomes, the creativity that was put into it, the booking of the match. All of these are factors in determining what category these matches go into. So when we put everything together, the match was actually decent and even good. The outcome absolutely needed, not just really good, not just awesome, it was needed. The way that they did the finish and Io executing that over the moonsault perfectly on top of her opponent for that victory, that was needed. That was huge. And then we look at what it does for wrestlers going forward, right? That's part of how we tally these. What does it all mean? What does it do for them? For Io, this means the world. She stamped herself into the, or at least onto the map of every fan, even if they didn't give Io a second look before. That was her calling card to the wrestling world. That's how big of a magnitude that victory was for Io. So we just put everything together. Maybe we were caught up in the moment, but we gave that a great. I could have easily given it a good. My unit felt, you know what, that was a seismic moment for that individual. So enough good. There was enough good all coming together that it created a great. So with the Rollins decision alone, the magnitude was so big it got an ugly. With Io's victory, the magnitude was so seismic that it got a great, 2 goods. And then you had the subpars, right? You had the Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso title win over Judgment Day. I don't know what they're thinking. Cody Rhodes doesn't win the title at WrestleMania. Instead, he lays down next to a rubber chicken because of struggle and adversity. And here we are 6, 7, 8 months or whatever it is, months and months later, and he's winning a tag team title in a non-existent division. They don't care about the tag team titles. They don't have a division. There's a bunch of good tag teams. There's no division. Nobody cares about tag team wrestling in WWE. Sadly, Judgment Day were tag team champions. You could have fooled me. I don't know who they took on other than Sammy and KO 116 times. I can't tell you anything memorable from the Judgment Day. And before KO and Sammy, who was it? Okay, the Usos, they won it. I couldn't tell you who the Usos won it from. Probably the New Day in their 455 matches. It's weird. Cody Rhodes is a tag team champion. And now going forward, what? We're going to get a bunch of Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso matches, tag team matches. That's the best way to book Cody. We were already getting Cody in these weird tag matches and 6-man tags. You'll get 8-man tags galore, especially with Survivor Series coming up. Sammy, KO, Jay, and Cody versus all of Judgment Day. You'll get all of it. And what happens is it's so redundant that it's not as fun anymore for us. It's already stopped being fun long ago, all these multi-man schmaz matches. With just taking your top stars, putting them together in random tag matches. Now, this just tells you you're gonna get more because they're title holders. So no, forgive us or forgive us not if we're not satisfied, if our expectations were just a bit more higher than what we got. Forgive us or forgive us not, nobody cares if we are not on board with Cody holding a tag title. If the tag titles meant something, if there was a real tag team division, maybe we could be a little bit more on board. And even then, I would question Cody holding a tag title. This guy was going for the world title at WrestleMania, and he's walking around with a crushed penny and a crushed dime. Those are what the titles look like. Crushed pennies, crushed currency. Look at those tag titles. They look like crushed coins. Horrible titles. I would hate to walk around in airports with those titles. It's a weird decision, and it shows you that creatively they don't know what to do with Cody or anybody. So it's like moment to moment with this company, and it never was more evident than that moment. To just throw them out there and say, you know what? Let's just give them the titles tonight. Well, hold on. Judgment Day, aren't we trying to make Judgment Day look badass and feel badass? Of course we're not. Did you see SmackDown? Remember SmackDown, guys? They joined up with the Bloodline. There were 7 individuals. They got their asses whooped by 4 individuals. Jay, Cody, John, L.A. And 7 individuals. Rhea Ripley's out there. Even Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman could at least grab someone's leg, right? So if you include Paul out there, there's 8 individuals to 4. And they all get beat up. Solo just takes a clothesline over the top rope, and he's knocked out for 2.5 minutes. Why? Because there was a botch for time management. So the faces celebrated for 2 minutes going off there, while all the heels are laying on the ground like a freaking, like they all just got Sting's baseball bat to the dome piece. No, they took clotheslines, a couple of stomps. JD McDonuts took everybody's finisher. I understand if JD McDonuts is still knocked out today. But everybody else? Judgment Day looked like geeks. And now they're just losing. Dominic loses his North American title. Gets it back a couple days later. Again, but we're not supposed to question the company, right? Because we shouldn't have expectations. Trick Williams wins the title. 2 nights later, Trick loses the title. What? Judgment Day wins tag titles. Why? Just to show up at a FastLane B-rated pay-per-view PLE and drop the titles to Cody in main event Jay, and nobody's questioning these decisions. How it doesn't make sense, and it's not the best way to book these individuals. The Judgment Day is in so many angles and so many segments every Monday night, Friday nights, pay-per-views. Don't you want them to feel special? Don't you want people to believe that they're badass? The way you're booking Judgment Day does the opposite. And instead of being honest, there's fans that go, just accept it. Just enjoy pro wrestling. We will when it gets better. When everybody raises their standards and bars and expectations. Then we can enjoy pro wrestling. What a concept. You gotta love it. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Now, I think did we put that into the good? I think because the match was decent to good. So maybe we did put that into the good, actually. I forget. One thing that got a good for sure, LA Knight, John Cena. LA Knight and John Cena defeated, who they defeat? Bloodline. Talk about looking weak when your leader is gone. Roman's been gone for the longest time, and his island of relevancy, the Bahama Island, martini, margarita, each in one hand, respectively. Good for him. Meanwhile, the Bloodline, they look like immense geeks. LA Knight, John Cena win this match. Of course, they should be winning. It's John Cena and LA Knight. The moment here was when Cena goes over to Knight and he holds up, or goes to hold up LA Knight's hand. And I told you guys live because LA Knight said no. He took a step back. Like you go to pet somebody's dog. Oh, hi, baby. And the dog like takes a step back like, oh, don't touch me. And you're like, whoa, not a friendly dog. Like LA Knight took a big step back and he's like, no. And he took Cena's hand and he held up Cena's hand instead at the end of that match. I told you guys live, that was organic. I told you guys, no. The way that happened, that was not rehearsed. That was not planned. Cena was expecting like a passing torch moment, like he's the future. And LA Knight was like, no, I don't need the consolation prize or pity or you're the star and I'm the soon-to-be star. He says, no. So I'm going to pay you some respect. And he holds up Cena's hand. I thought it was awesome. But I told you guys live, that was I bet you that was not planned. That was like organic. Sure enough, in the media scrum afterwards, John Cena admitted that was not planned. And it was a cool moment for him. But this was cool, man. He just holds his hand up. So listen, the whole thing to me, I appreciate John Cena a lot more today than I did back in the day. When he was going full time, I felt like he was clogging the highway. As a tweener, the 50% cheering him, 50% booing him. So every match he was in, he was either going to be the top face or the top heel. And by doing that, you can't create stars, guys. You're blocking the highway. If it's a 4-lane highway, the left 2 lanes, he's blocking. Those are the face lanes. The right 2 lanes, those are the heel lanes. He's blocking those too. You can't get around them. And that's what happened for 10 years plus. I don't want to just blame Cena, but Cena was a big problem, a big reason as to why stars were not created. Of course, Vincent Kennedy and company, of course. But John Cena refusing to turn heel because he had 4 opportunities and he admits, he said, no, I'm going to stay just like this because he likes to make a wish and all that. And that's cool. But there was several times where the company could have benefited greatly. John Cena's character could have benefited greatly if he had just done what's best for business and turned heel. Hulk Hogan took that gamble many years ago. He could have stayed a little tweener status, but he knew that something had to change and it would be more fun and just reinvigorate everything. And he turned heel and went NWO, and we all know what happened. The wrestling business boomed because of that. We'll never know, John Cena as a diabolical heel during that time frame. We'll never know what could have been and if wrestling could have really got another jolt. We'll never know that because he just stayed for years. We did the same thing, cheers and boos, because there was a reaction. And it started becoming not fun. And then Roman came on, and for 5 years we started doing that for him, and people wondered why it's not fun for a lot of fans. But now I appreciate Cena a lot more, in what he can still give to the company and to the industry, man. And I don't feel he's clogging the highway anymore. And I don't think he's trying to. So, I don't know. I enjoyed that on Saturday night. As far as what it leads to, just like EO. Because like I said, this is the aftermath. What did these matches lead to? Sometimes it is something simplistic. For EO, the moment of winning that match is so massive that going forward, the sky's the limit if booked properly. For LA Knight, that's one of those moments. When he goes into the Hall of Fame many moons from now, that's a moment you're going to see. Him and John Cena with their arms held high together. It's just one of those moments. A lot of fans that maybe were not LA Knight fans, you see him in there with Cena. That type of victory. That's a breakout moment. If not a breakout match in performance, it's at least a breakout moment. So yeah, it does a lot for LA Knight, just like I said about EO. And I think that was you got Seth and Nakamura, you got Cody and Jay winning tag Tag Gold over Judgment Day. You got LA Knight and John Cena winning over Bloodline, and you had EO winning over Charlie and Asuka. There was a fifth match too. I think we put that in the bad, didn't we? Oh, Bobby Lashley and Street Profits, the Street Business, taking on LWO and Carlito's Return. And I told you guys how much I enjoy Carlito. I'm a big fan of Carlito Caribbean Cool. Right? That's cool. Always loved Carlito Cool. But it was just off. Like, is he just hanging out in I mean, the phone call Rey Mysterio said was Friday night. He's in his gear. Was he hanging out in catering, eating triple layered moose cake until the final minute of the match? So by the end, the pop wasn't as big as it could have and should have been. Just bring him out from the jump. And let's do this, man. Carlito, now part of LWO, and let's watch the six-man. That was odd to me. And then just seeing the Street Business just lose like they did. Of course, with Carlito's return, LWO's got to win, and Ray's got a championship. I hate to see champions lose, even if the title's not on the line. Trust me, I get it. But to watch the Street Business lose so simplistically, just like I say about Judgment Day, if your goal is to make us believe in this faction, look at them as badass, this ain't the way you book them. You say, well, BC, they're going to have to lose matches, man. They're heels, especially, they're going to have to lose matches. That's not what we're saying. Book them properly. If Judgment Day loses 9 out of 10 matches, you could make it work if they're still being booked strong. Uniquely, creatively, right? There's victory and defeat at times. Street Business can be the same way. If you need them to lose 4 or 5 matches in a row, you can do that. Book them right. Every week they're out there, it's like they don't know if they're faces or heels, right? A little bit of a reaction, so they play face a little bit. Then all of a sudden they're diabolical and they're saying mean things, so they're heels. Bobby is smiling 1 minute, then he's mean the next. Profits are comedy 1 minute, then they're mean mugging. I don't know. We don't know. They don't know what they are. And then they go out, they talk a big game, they go out, and in less than 10 minutes, they lose a 6-man. Their whole faction was in that match, Bobby and the Profits. They can't even beat Little Ray, newcomer Santos, and a guy that hasn't been there in years. I think we put that into the bad column, didn't we? Unfortunately, and as much as I love Carlito, I never thought I would do that, or we would have to do that, but I think we did. Because again, what does it lead to? Well, for the LWO, not much more than before the night, Saturday. I don't know how many people saw that victory and, whoa, LWO! Carlito's Edition. Are they going to kick out Wild and Del Toro? Or are they all still going to be? Or is it going to be like a 6-person faction now of mediocrity? Or is the addition of Carlito going to make them relevant? Because even with Santos having all the talent in the world, and Rey Mysterio with a championship, and Zelina being not just beautiful, but actually good in the ring, if the booking's not there, nobody's going to care about the LWO. And the sad truth is, but it is a truth nonetheless, nobody cares about the LWO. That's sad to say that. I hope that changes, but nobody cares about them. Is the addition of Carlito going to change that? We'll only find out on Friday night. For the Street Business, what does it lead to for them? A deeper hole, a hole dug deeper into obscurity, or at the bare minimum, irrelevancy. Now you go over to the media scrum after this event. Paul Levesque McMahon was asked several questions. He's gassing up the night, how it was such a special night, how they broke more records, right? So the ratings are going backwards, but these house shows and these pay-per-view, these events are breaking records, right? Still showing you that people coming out of the Plandem are still trying to get out and experience events. And because the tickets are so astronomically priced, record revenue is going to be claimed. In a year, 2 years, good luck hearing them talk about record revenue every show they go to. That's not going to happen, guys. Right? And I'm not even saying it's going to be necessarily a full recession in the world. or the States anyway, but it's absolutely going to be people tapping out their credit cards eventually. And they're going to stop saying everything was a record profit. But he's gassing everything up and talking about the decisions that were made. But there was one question he was asked about Edge and why they let Edge slip through the cracks over to AEW. H's response was typical Paul Levesque McMahon, wasn't it? Paul Levesque McMahon says, we just felt it was time. He said he felt it was time, and honestly, we did too. That was a quote. He thought it was time, and honestly, we did too. He said he felt he did all there was to do, and we did too. He confirmed exactly what Edge said in his statement when Edge said, I wanted to do more, but they didn't feel the same way. They didn't want to give me more. So he confirmed on WWE side that they did not have anything for Edge. That's sad when you take somebody like Edge, who still to this day gets one of the best reactions in pro wrestling. And a company like WWE has nothing. Paul Levesque McMahon has nothing for Edge. So it confirmed that WWE had nothing. Edge said they had nothing for him. Paul Levesque McMahon agreed. He confirmed it. We had nothing. But where Paul Levesque McMahon BS'd, complete lie, by the way, was saying that he felt that he did everything here. There was nothing left to do. That's what Paul Levesque McMahon said about Edge, right? He felt like it was time because he had done everything. Edge said in his statement, he wanted to do more. He wanted to do more. I doubt very much that Adam Copeland is BSing here, man. Whereas Paul Levesque McMahon, everything he says, wait 5 minutes, it's going to change. That's Levesque McMahon's MO, right? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. He's a McMahon now. So it was interesting when he said that. No, you didn't have anything for him. He wanted to do more in WWE. You had nothing. You didn't want to give him your stage anymore. You pushed him out the door. He just felt it was time? You should wake up and go, damn, everything that I loved in WWE, I think it's time to go to AEW now. A show that gets 800,000 on their premiere show and 300 to 400 on their B and C shows. Yeah, that's where I want to go take my talents to play with my brother Jay. You pushed him out. And he tried to navigate, right? He tried to ice skate around the question a little, we wish him the best. There's no animosity, he said, and we wish him the best. But it makes you think, how do you not have anything for Edge? Edge wanted to go to work, we found out, from Edge and Paul Levesque. He wanted to go to work, and WWE said, we can't use you because we just don't know how to. Could you imagine being a head booker or a head in creative? How's that? Move over, Paul. You are the head of WWE Creative, and you have Edge on your roster. Edge is not injured. Edge wants to do a good storyline, and you go, sorry, Edge. We ain't got nothing for you. I got to go book Grayson Waller and JD McDonuts. I got to go put Tozawa in a match. I got to go bring back Nia Jax. We got to get a storyline going for Nia Jax. Sorry, Edge. I don't understand it, but that's WWE. And again, we can't think too deeply about it because then we'll get accused of having expectations. How dare you? Oh, want truth and not BS. How dare you want logic and common sense, right? But he was asked about that, man. And he was asked about Jade Cargill as well. She was shown in her wrestling gear during the pre-show. We heard she was going to make an appearance on the main show, and she never did. So when asked, he said, when the time is right, when she's ready to blow the roof off the place. In his words, this is a quote, "I can't wait to strap the rocket on her." If you were wondering how high he is on Jade Cargill, if you were wondering how much of that rocket she was going to get from the jump, he told everybody up front. He wasn't trying to hide it. He said, "I can't wait to strap the rocket on her." That was pretty candid. John Cena was asked about his future, by the way. If we're talking media scrum after FastLane, John Cena was asked about his future, and he said straight out, no BS, and I got to give it to his credit. He said, when Hollywood is off this strike, the writer's strike, and when everything is back to norm, he said, I'm gone. He said, I'm right back to Hollywood, because we're currently in the middle of a project. I can't even talk about the project because of the strike, but he says, we're in the middle of it. And he says, I can't even do much when I'm filming because of the liability insurance. And he says, if something was to happen to him, how many people are out of jobs? And that is irresponsible of him. So he was fully just no BS status, man. He said, absolutely, when the strike is over, out. I'm back to Hollywood. Very interesting, man. Because we knew that. But to hear him actually say, like he did, like Hollywood is now my top priority, wrestling is second. We knew that, but you always just thought like he was just itching to come back at any moment, and wrestling was always going to be his number one. But to hear him say, no, I'm Hollywood now. And he was asked, his last question too, he was asked about like talking all of that trash to The Rock. Remember when they were feuding, and he said, you know, you go Hollywood and you kind of forget about us, and you only come back when it's good for you or to get a pop, get a quick payday. You kind of left all of us behind. And now Cena's doing the same thing. He was asked about that, and Cena really was candid about, hey, I screwed up. It was a good learning lesson. And it was humbling. And I learned a lot, and I find myself in the same situation, and you just can't juggle the two of them. So that was interesting as well. The dumbest question of the night, man, I don't know what, it was during EO. All of Damage Control was on the panel, and EO was asked by this lady stepped up, and she said, if Taylor Swift comes to WWE, will you take her on? And poor EO, Bailey, Dakota, they were like, what the fuck are we talking about, man? We fantasy booking Taylor Swift? And this woman, the report, I don't know who it is because you can't see, you're only seeing EO. But she's like, that's right, I said it. I mentioned Taylor Swift. She like made it about herself. All of a sudden, you just hear on the mic, just start shouting out, I said it. I'm mentioning Taylor Swift. Bailey, Dakota, they're like, what is... EO looks at her and goes, she doesn't know what to say. EO is looking at Bailey like, is this for real? So she goes, are you crazy? Like, what are you asking me? So the lady's like, that's right, I said it. I mentioned Taylor Swift. She said, WrestleMania 40, Taylor Swift versus EO. Will you do it? And EO's like, are you crazy? Yeah, I mean, I would wrestle Taylor Swift. That was it. That was what do you say to that? The fuck does Taylor Swift have to do with EO? Much respect and love over to Taylor Swift, by the way, but what does she have to do with EO? Is the talk of the NFL not enough? It was awkward, right? I guess it could have been a funny moment for a moment, but it just got awkward when she kept shouting, that's right, I said it. I mentioned Taylor Swift. Congratulations, you want a cookie and a gold bar? You want Kurt's gold medal? You want us to dig out the 24/7 title from the trash? What do you need? How do these people get in there? Will you wrestle Taylor Swift? And that's why these media scrums are not looked at as real press conferences and a sham and kind of embarrassing. You get these awkward moments. poor Io up there thinking she's going to, answer some wrestling questions that are actually real. I mean, she had the biggest title defense of her short reign thus far. Might end up being the biggest one. Hopefully not. And this is the stupid question we're getting. Taylor Swift versus Io, WrestleMania. If we book it, will you do it? No, I will not wrestle Taylor Swift. Like, what is she I felt so bad for all of Damage Control. I think Dakota looked down the line. Dakota was like, is that a real question? Like, With that, guys, I'm going to end the podcast there, man. We went a little bit lengthy. Like I said, it was conversational, discussional, just the aftermath of the show, kind of re-going over it. Recollecting, here we are a day and a half later, and going over some of the press conference. Monday Night Raw tonight, as I said, I will catch it in its entirety. Maybe not all live. I might have to go back and catch some of it because the Packers are live tonight against the Raiders, Monday Night Football. So I have a lot to catch up on. 2 different notepads will be going. I'll be doing my due diligence on my notes for the Packers. That'll be up early tomorrow morning. Even if you guys aren't interested in the NFL, especially the Packers, stop by, say what's up, smash the up, say what up to BC. And then a few hours later, if you're just for the wrestling content, a few hours later after the Packers review tomorrow, the Raw review will be out in its entirety. So Packers review in the morning. Closer to the daytime will be Monday Night Raw. And then tomorrow night, I hope to be live with you guys. We're going to watch NXT and AEW together. Not 2 TVs. I could do that, but I'm not gonna. I'm going to show you how the average fan with 1 TV and 2 shows to choose from, how they would actually view this. I'm going to show you what we used to do, man. WWF and WCW, Raw and Nitro. And we used to have to flick back and forth. And this is what's happening in today's Nielsen ratings. And this is what I mean. Even in commercial breaks for football, you want people to tune into your show on Monday nights. It greatly helps your rating. And when the ratings are so bad, especially in football season, it shows you that your show is not even good enough for fans to tune in during commercial. Well, tomorrow night, or tonight, I should say, for Raw, we're going to do the same thing against the Packers and Raiders. Is this a good enough Monday Night Raw to make people tune in at least during commercial and halftime? And tomorrow night, I'm going to be live with you guys so we can see who is captivating the most viewers. Is it AEW or is it NXT? BC in the Amplified unit is going to be a microcosm of the greater scale. I hope you guys can join me up in the chat tomorrow night because I really want to see what do you got. Maybe I'm watching NXT, right? Maybe The Undertaker just came out and I'm glued to that. But maybe you guys in the chat are telling me, BC, you might want to switch over to AEW. Kenny Omega and Edge, they're about to go at it in the middle of the ring. And then I got to press last channel fucking like every 3 seconds. I don't know. It's going to be a big day on the channel tomorrow, man. 3 separate uploads. NFL, WWE Raw, live stream, NXT, AEW. We're pretty much covering everything, aside from the local bingo hall down the block. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC saying check you. Thank you to my Amplified unit for the Saturday night live stream. That was so much fun. For smashing the up and hopefully listening to every second of this podcast. And in advance, a big thank you for tomorrow. It's going to be big on the channel. So I'm going to thank you guys before we even rock it out. Salute. Check you.